Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. You all do my mama proud. You know, at U.S. Action, we say there are three kinds of people. There are people that make things happen, there are people that watch things happen, and then there are people that don't know what's happening. It took me a while, but I can't think of any place else in the world I would rather be grooving on a Sunday afternoon than right here. I'm old school. Than right here in Cahuckson, New York, in a room full of aggressive progressives. People who are not just content to spectate or speculate or pontificate or postulate about life, but people who are active participants in the movement for social justice and social change. Democracy is a verb, not a noun. And I truly believe, because you all are gathered here this afternoon, our nation will be stronger, our nation will be more secure, and our nation's citizens to be, and yes, even our nation's immigrants will all breathe freer because of the work that Citizen Action of New York has done, is doing, and most importantly, what you all are getting ready to do. And because we activists are often inundated and undercompensated and underappreciated and seldom celebrated, why don't you all celebrate yourselves right now with a great big round of applause? Let Barack Obama hear you all the way in the White House. I bring you all greetings from my wife Sheila. Some of you all know Sheila. I was originally scheduled to be with you all here yesterday, but her dad, Sheila's father, died last Saturday, and his funeral was yesterday. And one of the most moving moments of the service was when our good friend from Ghana, his name is Samuel Akenya, he's the official envoy from the African country Ghana, he surprised us, and he came by the service to speak. Sheila and I had gone to Ghana with him in 2005, and we met the president of Ghana. And president at the time before, he took one look at me and he said, Nzima. And meaning that I resembled members of the Nzima tribe. And we have been adopted, Sheila and I, by the Nzima tribe. Akenya said to us at the funeral that in Africa, when one's father dies, not only does everyone, friends, gather around, but the flags of the village fly at half staff. And next year, Sheila will be Sheila and I, we're going to go back to Ghana, and Sheila is going to be officially installed as a queen of the Nzima tribe. Now, I tell you, those of you all who know Sheila, if you thought she acted like a queen before, I don't know what I'm getting ready to do now when she officially becomes a queen. You called, my queen. What may I get you, my queen? What the hell am I going to do with you, my queen? Anyway, Queen Sheila sends her best interests. And in the spirit of someone, I can't remember, I bet y'all know who said, we must pray for the dead and fight like hell for the living. So that's what I'm here to do. To all the speakers and all the presenters and all the teachers who preceded me this weekend, let me thank you for giving our heads good information. Thank you for giving our hearts good inspiration. And thank you for giving our feet good instruction. Having me speak at a conference like this is never a 50-50 proposition. I guarantee you, I have already received more inspiration and wisdom than I can give. So with that disclaimer, let me tell you, like Britney Spears told her first 2 husbands, I won't keep you long. Let me at least be disciplined, time disciplined on my subject, from momentum to a movement. Here's a quote. We've killed healthcare reform. Now we've got to be sure our fingerprints are not on it. Unquote. That was then Oregon Senator Bob Packwood on November 1st, 1993, in a room full of Republican senators after the defeat of the Clinton Health Security Act. Ironically, one of the senators in that room was Republican senator from Pennsylvania, Arlen Specter. That was then. This is now. I came here to celebrate with you the passage of the Patient Protection and Affordable Health Care Act. After more than a century of trying, this historic vote will mean that Americans will live longer, health care will be more affordable, and we all will enjoy a higher quality of life because we have finally affirmed that the government has a responsibility to provide high quality, affordable health care as a right to all. Now, is this landmark legislation the most efficient way to provide health care? Of course not. You know, conservatives keep saying that government should operate like a business. So when we propose single payer, which is the most cost efficient, or we propose a public option, so at least it allows the government to operate like a business and compete with the other insurance industry, they scream like a stuck pig. Socialism. Government takeover. This legislation, I'll tell you, is full of political compromises, but let's not minimize this victory. This is the first piece of social legislation this major on this scale in 40 years. This is a major reallocation of public money for public purposes. Let me remind you that national health care was supposed to be a part of Social Security when it was first proposed. And Social Security was the compromise, and some people were disappointed, but let me be clear. And Dick Durbin reminded me, the senator of Illinois reminded me that at that time Social Security only covered widows and orphans. So we kept expanding it, and now no one denies that Social Security is one of the great social programs of our day. I remind you that in the 60s when national health care was proposed, the compromise was, well, let's do health care for seniors, Medicare, and health care for the poor, Medicaid. That was the compromise. And so we kept expanding it so that Medicare included the disabled, and no one denies, not even our most staunch opponents who say keep your government hands off our Medicare, that Medicare and Medicaid is a great social program. And so just like Social Security and Medicare, we've got some work to do. Look at this as our starter house. We're going to add on to it and expand it. We've got a lot of work to do with health care. One thing we got to do with health care is we got to make sure, one thing that came up that was real ugly in this health care debate, I digress, was some people tried to take the health care bill and make it into an abortion bill. You know, I am sick and tired of these hypocrites that talk about keeping government out of the private lives of individuals, and yet they want to stick their hands and their noses in between a woman and a decision that should be made by her doctor, a woman and her husband, a woman and her family. We have got to reaffirm a woman's right to provide her own medical health care choices and protect her own body. Now, and we got to look at health care as a human right. A human right. And then if we stop talking about a citizen right and say a human right, then it doesn't matter. If they say, what about immigrants? Let me say this here. Health care is a human right. Well, no, we only want to cover the human immigrants only. Health care is a human right. If I fall down somewhere in Mexico tomorrow, they would pick me up and take me to the hospital, and they would treat me. Everybody who comes to this country deserves the same health care. But let me read this before I go any further. Oh, I need my glasses. In the health care bill, Obama attacks wealth inequality. This is an article in the New York Times by a guy named David Leonard. For all the political and economic uncertainties about health care reform, at least one thing seems clear. The bill that President Obama signed on Tuesday is the federal government's biggest attack on economic inequality since inequality began rising more than 30 years ago. Nearly every major aspect of this health care bill pushes in the other direction. Over by the way, 30 years, government